everyone, welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and it is our technically Junk Journal Friday and our weekly premiere. But instead of junk journaling today, I've got a couple of things to show you. One, I'm going to walk you through the items that I made for the German Scrap Challenge with Maddie over at Spectrum Art Creations. And that is going to bring about some information later in the video, so hang around. Remember that we go live chat with the premiere on Friday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we're over in the chat room, so come on and join us. I had to play with German Scrap. And if you don't know what German Scrap is, I'm going to leave a link to my blog post from last week, or earlier this week, down in the description box below, that has a shot, has a picture of the German Scrap that I had to work with, the full sheet, as well as a description of what German Scrap is. But it is very detailed die-cut reproductions of vintage German ephemera. So I had to do 5 things. One of the things I chose to do was what I'm calling a bingo box. I took a bingo card that I had and shrunk it down 75% and then put it on a piece of chipboard so it would come up a little bit, and then use that as the base to mount one of the pieces of German Scrap. I also cut out bingo from cardstock. There are about 8 layers of cardstock here layered together to make chipboard letters. Could have done this whole much easier if I could remember where I put my paper box that has all of my chipboard alphabets in it. But, you know, that is what it is. So I have bingo here, and then the top layer is gold foil. Let me show you where I started with this. I used 2 of these canvas frames. They're 8 by 10 from Dollar Tree, and collaged them with music paper that I coffee dyed. And then after I tore the pieces, I distressed them with a retired color from Stampin' Up! Called Tip Top Taupe. Did that on the front and on the back. I put hardware on here so that it's hinged, putting 2 of them together so that you can open them up. And on the inside, I covered a piece of chipboard with Garden Lane Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up! It's a retired paper to line the inside. And I'm going to turn it this way because it wants to go in the other way. And then I have my bingo card from Maddie's. We play bingo the last Sunday of every month to celebrate the birthdays of our Spectrum Art Creations members, customers and clients. And each one of us has a bingo card, and this is mine. This is a 1-inch grid, and then I stamped this in garden green, stamped all my numbers in garden green. And then I'm using these glass stones from Dollar Tree. I have a dark blue to go on my free space. Then I have all these other ones, the aqua tones, that will cover all of my letters. And then there are 5 clear ones that we use because we have a wild card for each of the letters. So we have a clear one, and say if we get the wild and I put it on 62, well then if the card 62 comes up, I can put a regular marker there, and I can move my wild any place else in that O column. So the clear marble lets me see my number underneath. So that is my bingo box. Now I have one other thing, but I got to make sure I close this first. I have vintage bingo markers on the bottom, 2 stacked together to create the feet for the box. Okay, so there's that one. I've also been wanting to do an altered paintbrush for several. I'm going to try and raise this because apparently it has fallen again. So bear with me just a minute. I'll raise this up. I think that's going to be better. Okay. And I know I've got a shadow here somewhere. I think it's caused by the window. There we go. Let's get the shade down. I've been wanting to do an altered paintbrush for some time. So I decided this was a good time to use the German scrap on an altered paintbrush. I did 2 coats of gesso on here, and then I did 2 coats of Folk Art Tapioca on the front, maybe 3 and 1 or 2 on the back. And that is actually, I wanted to do kind of a Guns N' Roses theme, and I wanted to pay homage to my oldest sister, Barbara, who passed away a couple of years ago. She loved roses, and she was always decoupaging and doing things, and she had a Western Colt that she absolutely loved. And the doily that I've used under here is actually one of these. They're a coaster that goes to a complete dining set that Barbara made me probably 20-25 years ago. And we don't use them anymore. We don't have the vintage antique Duncan 5 table, so, and it's just Bob and I, so we don't use these anymore. So I've decided to put them into keepsakes rather than keeping them in a drawer. So I have half of one on here and some pearls. And then I took the largest piece of the German scrap, layered it on multiple pieces of white cardstock and trimmed it out to give it some dimension as well. Did 1 decoupage of one of the smaller images up here to cover the hole in the paintbrush where I start the pearls and then wrap them around. So that is my altered paintbrush. Then I had the idea I wanted to do a vintage photo album. And with this one, I've added the Tim Holtz photo corners. And I still need to bring those in and pinch them down a little more. I've got a vintage olive velveteen fabric on here, and it is padded on the front and the back underneath this with Warm and Natural, 2 layers of Warm and Natural quilt batting. I brought in another one of Barbara's doilies, another piece of that German scrap, and then you can see it on the bingo box where there is a bow on that image. And so I took some Stampin' Up! Ribbon that was almost identical in color, and it's a velveteen ribbon, and I tied that bow to add a little bit more dimension there. Then, as I said, I brought in the photo corners. Inside, I have 5 photo pockets holding a total of 10 pictures from Tim Holtz paper dolls. And I started with ones that were more like Civil War era. And the pockets are made from Stampin' Up! Crumb Cake cardstock that has been coffee dyed. And then I stamped this from our retired set of Very Vintage. It was a host set. Stamped in half the doily underneath this die cut from Doris. And then the florals around the outside. And then on the inside, each pocket has 2 photo mats. This is Stampin' Up! Very Vanilla that's been coffee dyed and then distressed around the edges with the tip-top taupe. And then a paper doll centered on them so that they would show in the oval cutouts. And for the oval, I used the largest layering oval from Stampin' Up! And there are a total of 10 of those, 5 of those pockets with 10 photos in them to represent an old vintage photo album. Okay, so there's that one. And then I was inspired by 2 people. Let's see, page 48. I bought this quarter's copy of Art Journaling when I was in Springfield a couple of weeks ago. And I was inspired by these journaling tags from Jennifer Tritle. Jennifer was inspired by Jessica Rosengren from Jessen Art from Sweden, and she's Jessen Art on YouTube. And I've linked her in the, excuse me, I've linked her in the blog post as well, but I will link her YouTube channel down below. And made a tag journal. Now the tag journal started out as a large, a 14-inch length blank time card. Ginger Crafts, Terry brought me several of these when she came for her visit from London. And so I put the album together using 5 of those, and then I just decorated the outside with the ginger scrap layered with a paper doily. And I did a lot of mixed media layering underneath. Brought in some lace and pearls and more of the Stampin' Up! Ribbon that I've used throughout most of the projects on this. So that was my my German scrap items for Maddie. Now there is a 5th one. There's a t-shirt, and you will find a picture of that in my blog post. It doesn't show up well on the camera because it is all white. But there's a description of that on the blog post. Okay, then Dear Julie has started her June challenge, and as I was driving home yesterday from having taken Tabby into the vet and doing some errands, something old, something new, something blue, something lace. And so I stopped at Dollar Tree, because I was going to stop there anyway, but when I walked in the door, the first thing I saw was all kinds of blue stuff. So aside from the general stuff that I picked up, like a couple more packages of the Terran tape, because I used quite a bit of that on my German scrap, and a couple of Mister bottles, I went nuts with the blue stuff. So one was these confetti stars, and these will be good for embellishments on my items. I also picked up a couple more mermaid coloring books. There was 2 different styles. So I can use those in this one, and you'll see why in a minute. Set them over there. Because as soon as I walked in the door, everything was all about the beach. Sand, sea, sand, and sunshine. Now, I thought I might have a couple of these napkins, but I couldn't be sure. But I went ahead and grabbed some anyway. So I have those 3 napkins to work with. And instantly started building a sea theme to this journal. And then there were lots of new stickers. There was this one with Meet Me by the Sea, starfish, sand dollars, sea from sea to shining sea. There we go. Corals, mermaids, seahorses. Then there was this one. A day at the shore restores the soul. You are pure magic. Seashell, lake bum, sea, sand, and sunshine. More coral. It's a shore thing. Then there was this one. Let's see, did I do that one? I got 2 of those because I like that one. Wander by the sea should you ever want to find me. From sea to shining sea, this is another one with the mermaid. The whale, another mermaid. Ocean. Seize the Day, Mini Mermaid, and Wish Upon a Starfish. I got 2 of those. And then there were these. These are glass stickers to go on your glasses. But we have a couple of things where we have to use plastic packaging. So I can use any of this. I can use the plastic packaging for the pockets and keep these. I have this one with the seahorses and coral. Meet Me by the Sea. And I know I've got a dark spot over here and I haven't quite figured out how to get rid of it. Wander by the Sea should you ever want to find me, and I picked up 2 of those. They also had new brush sets. So I picked up a couple of these. These are great for spreading glue, and then they wash out really easy. So I have a couple of fine ones, and then I have a couple of larger ones. So that was my Dollar Tree haul. What caught your eye? What do you think you would like to play with? And if you're in Dear Julie's challenge, which I highly encourage, and now that I have a work table again and I'm playing with everything in my room, I'm hoping to play with the journal challenge this month. So, what are you playing with? Have you picked a theme? For my blue, I've also done some of the Pacific Point whale tail punches out. And I started getting a bunch of those punched today. I know I'm behind in getting stuff in the shop. I meant to do it last week. I did not get over the cold as fast as I thought I would. And then Friday I had to take Tabby into the vet. because she's not been eating again. And I took her in yesterday. She had several teeth removed and she was diagnosed with feline leukemia. So, which just means she's going to have a shorter lifespan than most cats. So she's just going to be spoiled and, you know, nothing different. She's just not going to be with us as long as some of our other animals, and it's just life. Mother Nature brings me these animals to care for until they're ready to move on to their forever home. And Tabby's just another one on the list for us to love and cherish as long as we can. So that is me for this week. I'm going to try and get back on schedule next week. There is not going to be a Scrapbook Saturday tomorrow. I want to, but I'm figuring out how to do my new photo printer so I can get some photos off of my phone that I want to scrapbook. One is pictures that my daughter sent me of a Buddhist temple in San Francisco, I believe it was, that she went to. So I'm hoping to go ahead and do that while that one's fresh in my mind. And then we'll get back to a regular routine on Monday with Make It Mail It Monday. So I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you back here next week. In the meantime, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and creative blessings.